Hi, Cody from HD Florida. Today we're going to do a little different comparison video. In one of the previous videos, guests had requested that we do a ride comparison on the Lowrider and Lowrider S. So that's what we're here to do today. Alright, so our first ride is going to be on the Lowrider. So typical Harley-Davidson handlebar configuration. Left turn signal, right turn signal. This will toggle through the trip mode. Horn, high beam, flash to pass, start button, four-way flashers, run and stop switch. Got a fork lock down here. This is just decorative. Speedo tack, gas fill. So let's see what we got. So this is actually my first time riding a new Lowrider. Something I noticed about the newer Softails, you sit a little more down in them, you sit a little further forward on the Lowrider. I think if this was going to be my daily rider, I would probably need a seat that comes up and back just a little bit. You know from the previous videos, I would prefer a motorcycle that's got mid-control, so I do like that setup. Handlebars are kind of what we like to call a buckhorn. They typically point kind of downward and your hands are pointed inward. You'll notice when we get to the Lowrider S that it's a very different handlebar position. It's like all of these Milwaukee 8s, super smooth, torque's pretty immediate. And for some of you that are new to Harley-Davidson motorcycles, they've got what's called a bank angle sensor, or it's actually called a body control module, or BCM for short. So when you make a turn like this with a turn signal on, it recognizes that you have leaned the bike over and set it back up, and it'll turn the turn signal off for you in most situations. You know, something I really like about these new Softails, and I would say this across the whole line, is the monoshock rear suspension is such a dramatic improvement over the old Softails. And I would actually even say that these ride and handle better from even the old Dynas. And I know that some of the diehards probably would disagree with that, but they're just smooth. Everything's real easy. And we were talking about the Lowrider, and there's a lot of companies, a lot of folks that have been taking these Lowriders and, you know, blacking everything out and doing these FXR style fairings have been extremely popular in the last few years. There's a Harley-Davidson dealership up in Canada. It's called Calgary Harley-Davidson, and they did a black Lowrider like this one. They blacked everything out. They put an FXR fairing on it. I think Josh is gonna throw a picture of it up here for you. It's fantastic. Definitely cool to see what you can do with these if you so choose. You know, something a lot of people have to think about on a bike like this if you're going to commute is, you know, where am I going to put my stuff? As you can see, it's kind of we've been fighting some storms today. You can see there's some weather up ahead. You know, where would I put my rain gear, my lunchbox, you know, whatever. A lot of folks they'll put a detachable backrest on this and do there's a lot of options for like backrest mounted luggage. A lot of them, Harley-Davidson's actually got one too that's got backpack straps on it, so you can wear it like a backpack when you pull it off the motorcycle. That's a really great way to, you know, have a way to put your stuff somewhere without, you know, investing in saddlebags if you're not into that. And we talked about in our previous video, security is standard on this. ABS is an option. On the Lowrider S, security and ABS are standard. This particular one does not have ABS. I would say, other than the ABS portion of it, the brakes function very similar. I mean, it's the same calipers, same master cylinders, so, you know, functionality is all same either way. I know we had a lot of people opt for the 114, but I'll tell you, this 107's fantastic as well. such a noticeable improvement over the old twin cams. I think that finishes this ride up. We'll see you back in a couple minutes for a ride on the Lowrider S. All right, so we're back on the Lowrider S. Sorry about that. Our on a previous ride, the decorative cap for the tube left side fell off. Handlebar controls are laid out just the same. One thing you'll notice different on this, you see we've got a taller riser, shorter, more compact bar. Hands are out in front of you. You can see my arms are, I think you can see it in the mirror, my arms are straight out. Still, you know, speedo tack. That's all the same on both bikes. We'll see what we got. Yeah, I think, you know, jumping from the 107 straight into the 114, I would say they run the same. The 114 is just more than the 107, as you would expect. So one thing I'll take a moment and talk about is and we talked a little bit about, you know, inverted front end, conventional front end. The Lowrider, the regular Lowrider, has a conventional front end. So what that means is that the more rigid part of the fork is on the bottom, and there's obviously less of it. On the you can see on the inverted front end, it's flipped upside down. So there's a lot more material up here. So this is a much more rigid setup than the conventional front end. You'll notice that the inverted front end is typically the preferred choice for suspension on, you know, anything racing related. You know, I would say normal daily, you know, riding around. Either way you go, you're going to be happy. One thing I notice, just riding both in the same, you know, the same loop, definitely a little bit less front end dive on this one, and that's even considering it's got the dual disc brakes on it. You know, one thing you notice from the first video, the Lowrider S actually has a stage 1 air cleaner on it, and talk a little bit about the stage kits. So on all the big twins, we've got a stage 1, 2, 3, and 4 for Milwaukee 8. The Sportster line is a little different. If that's something you guys want to hear about, you know, let us know. We'll talk about that separately. So stage 1 is essentially air cleaner, some sort of exhaust, whether it be, you know, slip-ons or full system, and then tune. So, you know, the Lowrider S comes with the stage 1 air cleaner already done. To fully realize the potential of it, you would need to do the ECM tune and mufflers of some sort. One thing to note about the stage 1, the most beneficial part from a performance aspect is actually the air cleaner. Reason being is that the regular air boxes on these bikes are pretty restricted, so that stage 1 really helps them breathe. And then the way Harley designed the stage kits was that once you do the complete stage 1, you would go from either stage 1 to stage 2, stage 1 to stage 3, or stage 1 to stage 4. Everything that you bought on the stage 1 transfers over to the stage 2, 3, or 4. It gets a little more complicated if you go from 2 to 3 or from, you know, 2 to 4. You'll have some leftover parts from that. But they designed that so that you could do stage 1 by itself, and then when you get some miles under your belt and you decided which way you wanted to go with a further kit, the parts you bought originally don't go to waste. So stage 2 is just cams. They do Screaming Eagle does a torque cam and a horsepower cam. I would, you know, personal opinion, just from riding bikes with the stage cams, I would say that the torque cam is probably the most beneficial to most people. just, you know, seeing how people ride and talking to people. You're going to get a little bit more low-end torque. I would say the horsepower cam, you're going to realize that on a higher operating range. If that's a cam you're more interested in, you're probably interested in going beyond the stage 2 kit anyway. The stage 3 kit would take, so stage 3 in a 107 would take it from 107 to 114, and that's just cylinders and pistons, and then they also have a cam that comes with that as well. And then stage 4 is actually, so we did have 114 to 117, 107 to 114. Now we've actually got 107 to 128 stage 4 kits, and then in the 114 bikes you go 114 to 131. So stage 4 kit is going to be cylinders, pistons, cam, throttle body, heads. So the nice thing is you can go, so we can take this 114 to 131 cubic inches, and we don't actually have to take the motor out of the frame. It's just cylinders, pistons, heads. And it used to be, you know, the aftermarket was the only way you could go to get something like that. It's really cool that Harley's been able to put this stuff out. And it's something, if you do it in the first 60 days of ownership on a new bike, it's covered under your 2-year factory warranty. And then beyond that, if you decided to do extended service plan, you could actually get it extended a number of years beyond that. So Harley-Davidson's got, you know, on the performance aspect from mild to wild, and everything's covered under warranty. As long as you have it installed at a Harley-Davidson dealership. So just to wrap up, I would say that I think the Lowrider is a great entry-level softail. I think it's going to do a lot of great things for a lot of people. Price point's great. Lowrider S is going to be for somebody looking for more. This is definitely on the higher end of the softail spectrum money-wise. Both bikes do a great job. There's a ton of aftermarket, you know, there's a ton of accessories available to personalize them however you like to set your bike up. So if you have any other questions, drop them in the comments, and we'll see you next time.